financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is, well, not the most fun topic. I owe taxes. Brian Small, good morning.
I don't owe taxes, but good morning.
Jeffrey Linden.
Morning, Ken.
Taxman.
Love this topic.
Time for the Taxman song in the background, Dave. Pat.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
That might be a copyright infringement violation, just for the record, in case that song is.
All right. So I
about
want to do a
playing.
little different show on taxes. And we're going to do, for Jeff, we're going to do different scenarios and kind of walk through them. So I'm going to give you case number one right off the bat. Bob and Sherry. Shocked last week when they went to pick up their tax return and learned they owed the IRS $10,000. What do? First suggestion was kill the accountant.
No, don't kill the accountant.
Don't kill the
Don't
accountant.
kill the accountant. It's not his fault.
Okay, what are their options then? At first, they don't have the $10,000. What do? Don't file the return?
No. That's
Hide
the
under the
worst thing
desk?
to do. No. You have to file the return. One,
Cry?
it's a crime.
Crime
to not file
works.
your return if you're supposed to file the return. Two, it just penalizes you. By the time there's a 5% penalty against you for not filing a return per month, capped at 25%. I've never in our experience come across somebody that didn't file their return on time but did so within the next 5 months. So immediately, if
It's
you owe
25%.
$1,000, you know, $1,250.
What do they do how do they correct the problem so it doesn't occur next year?
So it depends on how they source their income, but if they're wage earners and they get paychecks with W-2s, then they need to adjust their withholding so that they're anticipating.
Right, so
what their
increase
tax
the
rate's gonna be.
withholding.
If they're independent contractors or they own their own businesses, they have to calculate, get some help, and pay their estimated taxes.
And increase the amount of their estimates.
Correct.
All right, so, I mean, and if they don't have the $10,000, they can get into an installment payment plan?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
You know-
that's not
you know,
the worst case
I
scenario
just want
for
to
them.
comment that this is the perfect example of where more than one tool of financial crisis management is going to come into play. We have to find a solution for the tax problem that exists. We have to correct the tax issue on a going forward basis.
Right.
And as you recall in one of our previous shows about budget management, we have to figure out how to get the two of them to live inside of their means so that they can
that they have the
afford
money.
the taxes and they can still live, eat, sleep,
That's
and
the
breathe.
segue to the coffee story.
I mean, if
We
they
gotta-
just went and grocery shopped twice a week
There's no
rather than
coffee
once a
story in
week,
Texas.
then they'd have that $10,000 saved. If I remember that show correctly.
Pretty darn close,
Yeah.
yep.
What's
Why?
not part of the plan is shoving your head in the sand and not.
That's the worst
worrying
thing that you
about
can
it.
Well, I mean,
And-
the ostrich syndrome, that does
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
occasionally.
Happens a lot.
And this happens actually a lot.
It happens a lot.
The accountant gives them the return, and then they don't file it because they're hit the
afraid.
panic button on the $10,000, which is insane because now it's $12,500 they owe instantly,
Right.
and they're still going to have to file the return and pay the taxes.
You know, since my daughter started working as a lawyer and her client is the IRS, and everyone's so afraid of the IRS. They want her to be the nice IRS lawyer. And now one of the lawyers that work here, Jenny, is working for the IRS now. And they want her to be, don't be afraid of the IRS. They're here to help. They want to solve the problem. As long as you work with them. Was that a
They are, it's a misnomer. I mean, everybody's afraid of the tax man, but in terms of the tax authority people to deal with on the collection side, the IRS is the more reasonable entity to deal with. State taxes is a lot harder. They're much more aggressive. They don't have as well-developed systems to help. The IRS does. They want to get paid. And they work with you, and they recognize that by working with somebody like me who knows their rules and holds them to their own rules, that I'm actually helping them get paid.
Yeah.
Because if they fight me, they know I'm going to fight.
There's there is something that goes with that, is that if you try and do it on your own, you're going to deal with IRS people, and they're polite and they're nice, but they don't go out of their way
No.
to help you, which would be even nicer if they did that. They don't say, "Oh no, you can do this," and
They can't give you advice.
or
Not like
and
a
they
lawyer
can't
can
point,
give
and
you
they're not going to
advice.
point you in a direction to help you and hurt themselves.
Right.
But the federal rules, we have a Taxpayer Bill of Rights. We have a lot of procedures to protect us. We know those rules, and when we're working with them and we're saying you have to play by these rules, they don't fight you on that.
Yeah.
They let you do it. That's why we have the Offer in Compromise. We have so many good programs
right.
that work. So the commercials that say the IRS and
Oh, here
everything
we
else,
go. Eeyore.
those are designed.
Eeyore came back.
They're inspiring you to call the collector. You should have representation, but it's not a fear. It shouldn't necessarily be fear-driven. It's just being smart
Solve
in
the
terms
problem.
of solving the
We're
problem.
to solve the
Exactly.
problem.
Case number
Exactly.
2, Rich and Lisa, newlyweds, or soon to be
Congratulations.
married. Rich has a back tax problem. He owes income taxes, 2013, 14, and 15, $50,000. 2016, $10,000, 2017, $10,000, and the biggie, he owes $100,000 in payroll taxes from a failed restaurant that he owned. Lisa has no tax issues. She earns $100,000 a year, W-2 wages. She's expecting a $5,000 refund. So the question is, what should Lisa do?
Don't marry Bob.
Dump Bob?
No. In all seriousness, Lisa needs to protect themselves.
That's what Lisa's father.
It's
Right.
Rich,
But
by
I
the way.
love him, Dad.
Dump
He's gonna
Rich.
get better.
Yeah, dump Rich. Right.
What should? She should run as far away as she can. But that
No.
being said, I
She
think,
shouldn't. That's
I
not
think
fair.
that the key here is, before you tell them the solution is that Rich needs to address his problem before he gets married, before Lisa becomes a wage earner in the household, before there's more income that needs to be dealt with. Rich has an opportunity early
Well, can't
on.
she solve that problem just by
Well, yes and
married
no.
filing separate?
Yes.
And no.
Well, it depends. I mean,
They're going to pay more taxes.
they're going to pay more taxes on a global basis, but if they file married filing separate, then Lisa does not become liable for Rich's problem.
All right, let's take a break and explain to me how that costs them more in taxes, though.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Samasco Law.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. Okay, so if you've made true or false, if two spouses file married filing separate, are they going to in the aggregate pay greater tax than if they're filing married filing joint?
Yeah, because from the tax code standpoint, you're basically two individuals paying tax. You get a tax savings filing joint, but in exchange for that, you get joint liability on the taxes too.
But so Sherry should do that so she's not taking on any liability for Rich going forward.
You mean Lisa, but yeah.
Lisa, she's not liable for his back taxes if she files.
She's not.
She's
but
not.
The key here is that Rich has an opportunity to correct the problem before they get married.
Right, and before Brian goes into why, this is why we do what we do in a multidisciplinary approach where we don't look at things from a narrow slot. We look at the whole picture and we bring all the tools available to help solve
So
the
you're
problem.
looking at it from the tax perspective. Pat?
The bigger picture, he's self-employed, he's not paying his payroll tax, but he's also not paying into Social Security. So when he retires, he'll have virtually no Social Security to live on, no savings to live on, so he better take advantage, start solving this problem now.
But his payroll, he's not self-employed now, but his restaurant, the payroll tax problem wasn't from not paying his income taxes, it was from not paying the trust fund on his employees.
Yeah, but the point is that he wasn't paying his people, he wasn't paying himself either, and he wasn't paying into his Social Security. So when he retires, he won't have his Social Security benefit.
Right. So what were you going to say?
Well, the reality here is Rich, before he gets married, has the opportunity conceivably to file a bankruptcy, discharge all of his income tax liability. Because when Rich and Lisa get married, now if they look to file a bankruptcy, they're going to look at their combined income. It doesn't matter that they file separately.
So I'm Rich, and you're saying I got to file bankruptcy before I get married to Lisa.
It may be a choice.
But
it may also be the choice to file an
What if I say to
offer.
myself, Lisa's making $100,000 a year. I don't want to file bankruptcy. Let me get tied
It's
to
going to hurt
knot,
my credit score.
tie the knot, get hitched up with her, and then she can pay the tax liability.
Well, that
Because Lisa's not going to be an idiot.
because
She's not
she's
going to let
not.
that happen.
And the reality
You mean
here is
Lisa's
that
dad's not going to let that happen?
Regardless
I
of
think
Lisa's
Lisa's
sources.
not going to let
And
that
Lisa's
happen.
not
Okay,
gonna
Lisa's
let
not
that
gonna
happen.
But Rich has an opportunity to either do a bankruptcy or do the offer before he gets married, because once he gets married, Lisa's income counts against him both in a bankruptcy situation and in the offer situation, even if the parties are filing separately.
So for sure. So number one is, if Rich was thinking I'm going to marry Lisa and suck her into paying my tax liability, then Lisa should run because Rich is a bad apple.
Right.
Okay, so Rich is not a bad apple, and your point is he needs to file the bankruptcy before they get married, and that takes care of, what do you get rid of with the
He's
bankruptcy?
going to get rid of all of the income taxes that came due more than 3 years ago. And
So you can get rid
as
of
long as they've been filed.
you can get rid of
$70,000 in
2013, 14, 15, 16, and 17's taxes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, what about the payroll tax?
So the payroll taxes, Jeff can get rid of with the offer and compromise.
And that has to happen before they get married as well?
No.
It doesn't, but it's an option.
What about her $100,000 of income?
Her $100,000 of income is not, if she's filing married separate, if they get married and they're filing separate, then her income is going to impact Rich's calculus with regard to if she's sharing household expenses. But it's not going to be calculated in terms of his ability to pay the debt. An offer and compromise, if you qualify for the program, is basically an analysis of how much you make and how much you own. It has nothing to do with how much you owe. The same process applies if you owe 10 grand or if you owe $1 million in taxes, and it doesn't matter if it's income tax or property taxes. It's based on what you have and your ability to pay.
So if they don't want to delay the wedding and they're planning on getting married in 9 months, you could take care of the bankruptcy for him now, have it done and over with before the wedding date.
Correct.
The offer and compromise takes some time to get done,
It
right?
still
Yeah.
may be advantageous to
Do it-
address the
start it-
offer now, because when you combine households, you usually start to have combined expenses. So maybe if Rich's expenses are,
High.
let's just say he's bringing home $5,000 a month and his allowed expenses are $5,000 a month.
Then his offer is
zero, or $100, so to speak. If they move in together and now they're splitting those expenses, now his allowed expenses are $2,500 and his income is $5,000. Now he can afford more for an offer.
I have to interject something that's important, because recently, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, James Caan passed away, and he was Sonny
Jimmy
Corleone
Caan,
in The Godfather.
Yes.
So
He did,
on this offer and compromise situation, I just want to know is, when you're dealing with the IRS, Jeff, do you go to them and say, my offer is nothing,
And you're going to pay my filing fee?
and you're going to pay my fine?
Yeah, no. That's not how they work.
But that was Al
They don't,
Pacino.
they,
That
they don't
wasn't
play that.
James
They don't
Caan.
play that game.
Strategy.
It's a strategy issue, and it's not. There's not a one size fits all thing. It depends on your circumstances. Getting married and having more people in the household increases the floor of the allowable expenses, because now it's a two-person household instead of a one-person household, and the calculus goes up because you're allowed more for food, more for housing, more for insurance and expenses. But yes, if she's sharing those expenses with her income, then some of that's going to drop back down. You have to look at it to figure out which is the best approach.
So either way, the question is timing, but for
Yeah.
sure what you're saying is you've got a bankruptcy to do, and then you're going to do an offer and compromise, and then you're going to clean up Rich's situation completely,
Yeah.
and then Rich and Lisa will be happy.
Here's
and
one of the best
will
reasons.
live happily ever after.
We just, after a lot of fighting, got an offer for a guy who owed $180,000, $2,700. All of his debt is gone. All of the tax debt is gone. He paid $2,700 and got rid of $180,000.
Out the
in
door,
tax debt.
$2,700.
And he owns his own business, and he's in business, and he's making money.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll do the next scenario.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Samasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, we'll get through this, we'll get through this.
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Time for announcements. So I remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. Just call our offices, 888-235-HELP, or go online, and there's boxes to click to sign up for a free consultation. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat or Jim Samasco, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Also, go online, check out the free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and Jeff Linden. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And the Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back.
So before we get started, I want to say
Before we do case number 3.
Wait, number 1 though. Your little friend on your computer, you two are identical. God,
Who?
Your little
What?
fish guy with the glasses and
This
the pretty
guy?
hair. Yeah, look at that. Honest to God.
You see a similarity?
I love it. It's beautiful.
You're very good looking.
Yeah, he is. So this
That's
is
from Dave. Are you guys Dave fans? The movie Dave.
no.
Yes.
Kevin Kline plays
Himself
Dave,
and the
who
president.
plays himself. So at the very beginning of the movie, he's going to substitute in for the president, and he meets him for the first time. And the president, who he takes over for, was kind of a jerk. And he looks at him, and they're nose to nose, and he goes, "You're a very good-looking man, but get rid of the smirk. You look like a jerk." Oh, anyway, so. All right, so I guess I'll have to name him Ken. Okay.
There you go.
We just talked about the law.
He's to clean the screen,
Right.
just so you know.
But
Yes.
the reality is this is probably not going to be the 25-year-old girl marrying her high school boyfriend. This is probably a second marriage or a later on relationship where he came into the relationship with the business and you can have these conversations. This is a business that you're getting into the family. You need to talk about the taxes owing and the credit card debt.
Absolutely.
And have the
It's actually amazing how many people go
Don't.
into a marriage without understanding the financial liabilities one of the partners in the
Yes.
marriage has,
Yeah.
and how much stress that actually causes in the marriage itself.
We see it a lot.
A lot, yeah. And but walking into it, now's the chance. Prenuptial agreements are important, very important.
Yeah, and it's not just what your tax liabilities are. How much credit card debt are you bringing into the marriage? Do you have medical bills that are not paid? What are your obligations? What are your liabilities?
Yeah.
You do need to have those frank conversations.
On the estate planning side, if the wife dies and goes to the husband, and then she wants to go to her kids afterwards, that ain't ever going to happen. So it's a whole thing that you have to talk about. Estate planning, tax planning, credit card debt, prenuptial agreements.
Yeah, absolutely critical. All right, so let's do case number 3 in a shortened version. Jack, he could be a truck driver, he could be a lawyer, he could be a doctor, he could be you, he could be your neighbor. Here's his situation. He hasn't filed his tax returns for 10 years. He has some records, not a lot, totally disorganized. He suffers from lack of sleep and high anxiety over the tax situation. First of all, is Jack a common person?
Very much.
And what should he do?
We've had Jack in every one of those professions in that situation or similar situations.
What's his solution?
He could move to Bora Bora.
Marijuana.
No?
His solution is in the
organized.
compendium of
Wait a
what
second,
to
you gotta
do.
start smoking marijuana. It's legal now. It's make him sleep. He won't get worried. He won't.
He could do that, but that goes into budget issues with Brian in terms of the cost of the substance. His problem is easy to solve. File the blanking returns.
Yep.
It's that simple. Now, he says, I don't have records. We estimate.
We can estimate. We can get records
records.
for the last 10 years if he's a W-2 salaried person or an hourly person who gets paychecks. We can get 1099s and W-2s from
So we
the IRS.
get the information from the IRS, we prepare the returns, we estimate his expenses, we get them filed, and then whatever his tax liability is,
We work on
we
a
either do an offer
resolution.
in compromise or we get into a payment plan. At the end of the day, what happens to Jack?
Jack resolves his problem. He calms down. He starts being able to sleep. He feels relieved that he's gotten his hands on the problem and he's taken action on it, and it's not stressing him out anymore.
It's
It
fixable.
is so fixable. And every time that Jack comes into our office, he says the next day we see him, I slept the night after I saw you guys for the first time in 8 years.
We see it a lot where the daughter comes in because Jack's starting to get dementia, and they're getting into his checkbook and seeing that he hasn't paid it. So he comes in a whole different level problem because of the dementia or strokes and stuff like that. So it's important.
I mean, the bottom line is this.
Well, that's why it's really important to make sure you have the right powers of attorney in place, too.
Absolutely. Any problem you have is resolvable if you face it. That applies to everything in life. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.